Have you ever noticed that in the best survival games, building a base makes all the difference? It's not enough to just explore. You need to plan, gather resources, and build something solid to ensure your survival. Whether facing dangerous creatures, other players, or even hostile environments, success depends on your ability to create and protect your refuge. In this video, I'll show you 20 games where building a base is not just a detail, but the key to survival. This is Jack speaking. If you're new here, welcome to the Play Hunters channel, where I bring you daily content from the gaming world, so you never run out of things to play. If you can subscribe, I'd be very happy. The first game on our list is Ark Survival Evolved, a title that has become a reference when it comes to surviving in hostile environments. In this game, you literally have to fight for your life while building a base to protect yourself from dinosaurs and other players. The sense of urgency is constant, and constructing structures is essential, not just for shelter, but for gathering crucial resources like food and defense items. The variety of creatures you encounter while exploring the map creates an unpredictable atmosphere, something that makes each session unique and exciting. The gameplay is where everything truly shines. The combination of material gathering, crafting, and combat is well balanced, and the ability to tame creatures adds an extra layer of strategy. Building your base is not just something visual. It directly impacts how you interact with the environment and other players. Anyone who's ventured into Ark knows how vital it is to protect your base with strong walls and traps to avoid being invaded. The graphics provide fantastic immersion, especially when played on more powerful platforms. Watching the sun rise while you're still collecting resources brings a remarkable sense of realism. Every detail of the fauna and flora contributes to making the player feel truly immersed in a primitive and dangerous world, where the choices you make in building and protecting can determine whether you survive the following attack. In second place, we have State of Decay 2, a survival game set in a post-apocalyptic world overrun by zombies, where building a base is crucial to ensuring the safety and success of your community. The player must gather survivors, build defenses, and manage limited resources to keep everyone safe. The base, which can be expanded and customized, serves as the central hub for storing supplies, crafting items, and protecting the group from constant attacks. The gameplay revolves around material gathering, exploration, and combat, but the standout feature is the management of the base and community. Players must make strategic decisions on how to improve the shelter, which can include building defense towers, planting gardens to sustain food supply, or setting up medical centers to treat injuries. Each construction directly impacts long-term survival, and a well-planned base can mean the difference between life and death. One of the most interesting aspects is how the game forces the player to balance priorities. It's not enough to build large structures. You also have to manage the community's morale, deal with resource depletion, and always be prepared for zombie hordes. This constant cycle of improving the shelter and exploring new areas creates a sense of urgency and reward, keeping the player engaged while expanding the base and increasing their chances of survival. In third place, we have This War of Mine, a survival game with a dramatic and emotional focus. The player controls civilians trying to survive in a war-torn city. Building a base, an improvised shelter in this case, is fundamental to ensuring the character's safety, comfort, and sustenance while facing the horrors of conflict. The gameplay blends resource management with tough decision-making. The player must build and upgrade the shelter, creating areas for cooking, crafting tools, and housing survivors. Additionally, the base must be fortified to avoid looter attacks. Every improvement to the shelter feels like a small victory in a setting where a lack of resources and the character's morale are as crucial as food or water. The grim environment and oppressive atmosphere highlight the weight of the player's decisions. Every upgrade to the shelter brings a bit more hope in a world where everything seems lost. Progress is not only about physical expansion, but also about maintaining the character's sanity, turning the shelter into a symbol of resilience and survival in desperate times. In fourth place, we have Subnautica, a survival game set in the depths of a mysterious alien ocean. Building an underwater base is crucial to exploring the world around you and ensuring your survival. The player starts with limited resources and gradually expands the base, turning it into a submerged exploration fortress. The great twist is that, besides sheltering the player, the base also serves as a research and analysis point, allowing you to create new technologies that help unravel the mysteries of this ecosystem. The gameplay stands out for its constant sense of discovery. Exploring the depths presents unexpected challenges, like a lack of oxygen and unfriendly marine creatures. Building is a fundamental part of progress, and each new module added to the base brings a palpable sense of advancement. The game keeps the player constantly moving, whether collecting resources or trying to protect themselves from underwater dangers. With impressive graphics, the game delivers a visual experience that captivates the player from start to finish. The underwater landscapes are so immersive that at certain moments, it's easy to forget you're in a game. Each biome has its visual characteristics, creating a unique sense of exploration and providing moments of true contemplation, even amidst imminent danger. In fifth place, Rust stands out as a classic survival game where the base you build is your thin line between life and death. Competition for resources is brutal, and building strong defenses is essential to protect everything you've earned. The main threat doesn't just come from natural challenges, but from other players who will try to invade and loot your shelter at any time. Good planning is essential to progress and survive longer. The gameplay is intense and unforgiving. Everything depends on how well you manage your time between exploring, gathering resources, and strengthening the base. The combat mechanics and interaction with other players add an element of unpredictability that keeps the tension high. Destroying enemy bases is one of the most rewarding parts, but it also means that your safety is never guaranteed. The building mechanics are incredibly detailed, offering various material options and structure types. Every decision in construction matters. You can choose cheaper walls that offer less protection or stronger materials that consume more resources but provide better security. The base customization allows you to create fortifications with different levels of complexity, from simple huts to well-designed fortresses with traps and defense mechanisms. This flexibility ensures that every base is unique and that your building strategy directly impacts the player's success or failure. In sixth place, we have Sengoku Dynasty, a game that blends base building with a feudal Japanese setting, offering a unique perspective within the survival genre. The player must build and manage a village while facing typical challenges of the era, such as clan wars and resource scarcity. Base building involves not only creating physical structures, but also managing a social environment, where the prosperity of your community depends on making the right choices. The gameplay strikes an interesting balance between strategy and action. Besides gathering materials and building, the player must ensure the well-being of the village's inhabitants, which includes organizing food production and defending against potential invaders. Base construction isn't static. It evolves as your village grows and new development options appear, adding strategic depth as you progress through the game. The graphics bring the rich culture and landscapes of feudal Japan to life, with special attention to architectural and natural details. Building your village with temples, wooden houses, and defensive walls not only ensures your community's safety, but also creates a visually stunning environment. In seventh place, offers an original take on the survival genre, where your base is a train traveling through mysterious dimensions. Building and maintaining the train are crucial to survival, as it serves as your mobile fortress. Each new dimension presents different challenges, and the player must adapt by building upgrades and fortifying the train to withstand the threats encountered along the way. The gameplay combines exploration with strategic planning. The train is a true operations hub, and you must manage available resources to keep moving forward. The building mechanics allow you to customize train cars and add functionalities like food growing areas or laboratories for crafting items. The player is always on the move, bringing a unique dynamic as the base is constantly exposed to unpredictable dangers. The futuristic and dark graphic style fits perfectly with the theme of unknown dimensions. The landscapes range from eerie voids to breathtaking alien scenery, enhancing the atmosphere of mystery. The customization of the train also reflects player progress, with each new modification being not only functional but visually impactful, creating a train that is as effective as it is impressive. In 8th place, we have No Man's Sky, a game that revolutionized the survival concept by placing players in a procedurally generated universe where every planet is unique. Base building is one of the key aspects of exploring the vast alien worlds, offering shelter, resource production, and teleportation points for faster travel between star systems. Setting up a base on a hostile planet can mean the difference between success and failure in your journey through the cosmos. The gameplay is heavily centered on exploration and crafting. In addition to building bases, players gather resources, research technologies, and face alien creatures. Customizing constructions is a highlight, allowing you to create everything from simple shelters to complex outposts with labs, farms, and hangars for ships. Progress in the game is closely tied to the efficiency of your shelter, as it provides all the necessary resources to support interstellar travel. The graphics are spectacular, with vibrant colors and alien landscapes ranging from arid deserts to lush forests, all with a surreal touch. The beauty of the game lies in the diversity of planets, and the feeling of building a base on a unique planet, which perhaps no one else will explore, brings immense satisfaction. It's a world where each construction becomes part of a vast, ever-expanding universe. Continuing, we have 7 Days to Die, a survival game focused on zombie horror, where building bases is vital to withstand the waves of enemies that attack. The player must create and reinforce a fortress to protect not only against the creatures, but also other survivors. Each build must be carefully planned, as the enemies become more numerous and violent with each passing week, requiring strong fortifications. The gameplay mixes crafting, defense, and exploration, maintaining constant tension. Players need to go out in search of resources, but the real challenge is making it back in time to reinforce the base before the next horde arrives. The building mechanics are flexible, allowing the creation of strategic traps and defense points, making combat more dynamic and engaging. Each material used to construct your fortress directly impacts your survival. The dark and realistic atmosphere adds to the apocalyptic vibe that permeates the game. The devastated environments, combined with changing weather and day-night cycles, increase the challenge by affecting both visibility and difficulty. As the days progress, strengthening your base becomes crucial, creating a constant sense of urgency where every decision has serious consequences for your survival. In 10th place, we have The Forest, a survival game that blends horror and base building in a hostile and mysterious environment. After a plane crash, the player finds themselves in a forest inhabited by cannibal tribes, where building a shelter is crucial for protection against nightly threats. Base building, from simple cabins to fortified strongholds, offers a critical line of defense against the dangers lurking in the forest. The gameplay balances exploration, combat, and construction. The player must gather materials such as wood, stones, and food while exploring the environment, all while remaining vigilant against hostile tribes. The building mechanics are quite versatile, allowing the player to create not just shelters but also defense systems like traps and barricades, which are essential for fending off enemy attacks, especially at night. The game's dark and tense atmosphere, with its dense forest and unpredictable threats, creates a constant sense of danger. With each base improvement, the player gains a little more security, but the feeling that something could go wrong at any moment never fades. Building and reinforcing the shelter is a continuous and vital task for survival, as well as uncovering the secrets hidden in the forest. Moving on, we have Once Human, a game that places the player in a post-apocalyptic world filled with supernatural creatures, where base building is crucial for ensuring survival. The threats are constant, and having a safe shelter becomes the key to resisting the chaos that dominates the world. Players can build anything from small fortresses to more elaborate bases, with specific areas for resource cultivation and crafting essential items. The gameplay combines elements of exploration and combat, but the building mechanics really stand out. Besides protecting against enemies, bases serve as operation hubs where players can plan their strategy and organize resources. The construction customization is very flexible, allowing the player to adapt their shelter as the threats evolve throughout the game. With a striking post-apocalyptic aesthetic, the game creates an environment of constant tension. The dark color palette and devastated settings reinforce the sense of desolation. Every detail of the constructions, from walls to external defenses, contributes to full immersion, where players feel constantly challenged to improve their base to survive in a collapsing world. Continuing, we have Soulmask, a survival game that combines dark fantasy and strategy elements, where building a base is essential to staying protected from the supernatural forces haunting the world. In this mysterious universe, constructing solid fortifications not only provides shelter, but also serves as a starting point for exploring dangerous environments. The gameplay stands out by integrating base building with dungeon exploration and combat. The player must gather resources in hazardous areas to continue improving their base and create effective defenses against enemies. The shelter's evolution is gradual, with the addition of new structures and systems that expand survival possibilities. The dynamic interaction between building and combat makes each choice crucial for progression. The dark fantasy environment is one of the game's strengths, with detailed settings and a mysterious atmosphere. The visual aesthetic enhances immersion, where each build, whether a castle or a simple defense tower, aligns perfectly with the game's tone. The feeling of being in a world full of hidden secrets makes building your base not only a necessity, but also a fascinating part of the game's development. Next up is Grounded, a survival game with a unique concept. You're shrunk down to the size of an insect and must survive in the backyard of an ordinary house. Base building in this setting becomes essential to avoid attacks from giant insects like ants, spiders, and other predators. Each shelter must be well planned, using materials like leaves, twigs, and stones, which in the game's context become your primary resources. The gameplay offers a mix of exploration, gathering, and crafting, where the player needs to search the vast backyard for materials to strengthen their base and set traps against predators. The building mechanics are fun and flexible, allowing players to personalize their shelters and develop different forms of defense. The unique twist is how the everyday environment becomes a monumental challenge, where even a simple drop of water can change the game's dynamics. With vibrant graphics and a colorful art style, the game creates an engaging atmosphere that balances adventure and danger. The creative design of the settings and attention to detail, like the size of plants and insects, makes base building feel like an essential part of the environment. Expanding your base while exploring new corners of the backyard creates satisfying progression, where each new discovery leads to a more sophisticated construction. In 14th place, we have Green Hell, a brutal survival game set in the unforgiving Amazon rainforest. Here, building a base is essential for protection against the numerous dangers of the jungle, which include wild animals, diseases, and even hostile tribes. The player must create shelters, gather resources, and secure a constant supply of food and water to survive in this extremely hostile environment. The gameplay focuses on a combination of exploration, crafting, and realistic survival mechanics. Building a base requires the player to collect materials like bamboo, leaves, and vines, which can be a challenge when surrounded by predators and diseases. Careful planning of the base is crucial, as a well-constructed shelter can be the difference between life and death. Additionally, players must pay attention to both the physical and mental health of their character, adding another layer of difficulty. The detailed and realistic Amazon setting creates a constant sense of immersion and danger. The dense vegetation, the sounds of nature, and lurking threats make every improvement to the base a temporary relief. But the feeling that the environment can turn against the player at any moment is ever present. Building shelters and tools not only ensures survival, but also helps to unravel the mysteries of this hostile world. Next up is Stranded Deep, a survival game set on deserted islands in the Pacific Ocean. After a plane crash, the player finds themselves isolated and must build a shelter to protect themselves from the elements, wild animals, and the constant threat of hunger and thirst. Building a base, whether on an island or an improvised raft, is key to ensuring long-term survival. The gameplay combines exploration, resource gathering, and crafting. The player must explore various islands to find materials to build shelters and essential tools. The building system is simple but offers multiple possibilities, from basic huts to floating bases. In 16th place, we have Windbound, a survival game that stands out for its unique combination of building and sailing across a vast archipelago. After a shipwreck, the player finds themselves lost on a series of mysterious islands and must build both shelters and boats to survive. Survival goes beyond the land, requiring the player to build sturdy vessels to explore new islands in search of essential resources. The gameplay centers on gathering materials and crafting items to improve both shelters and boats. Navigating between islands is a vital part of progress, and the boat building system is just as important as erecting a safe shelter. The player must balance building structures on land with developing their boat, ensuring that both can withstand storms and the dangers lurking at sea. What makes the game special is its focus on mobility and adaptation. The player isn't confined to a single base but must constantly stay on the move, using resources to improve both land-based defenses and the boat's navigability. The evolution of the boat gives a unique sense of progression, where success depends not just on building something stable, but on adapting and exploring new horizons. Next, we have Chernobylite, a survival game set in the Chernobyl exclusion zone, where the player must build a base to confront both supernatural forces and the dangers of radiation. Constructing a shelter is essential to withstand enemies and store resources collected in the area. The tense atmosphere and the need for strategic planning make base building a core aspect of the game. The gameplay combines exploration and combat with the need to manage limited resources. As you gather materials from the radioactive zone, you can improve your base by adding labs and defense areas to ensure safety. The crafting system allows you to create traps and weapons, which are vital for facing the enemies encountered during missions. The base serves as a resting point and a hub for planning dangerous incursions. With realistic graphics and an oppressive atmosphere, the game accurately captures the devastated environment of Chernobyl. The base construction reflects this setting, with structures needing to be robust enough to withstand constant attacks and environmental threats. Progressing with your fortress brings a growing sense of security, although the danger never fully disappears. In 18th place, we have Enshrouded, a survival game set in a world covered by a mysterious fog. The player must build a sturdy base to protect themselves from the creatures that inhabit this dark environment. Constructing fortifications is crucial, not just for shelter, but also for creating defensive points against the constant threats emerging from the fog. The gameplay combines exploration and defense, where the player must manage scarce resources while developing their base. The building mechanics offer a variety of options, from simple shelters to well-designed fortresses. Expanding and upgrading the base is essential to facing more powerful enemies and shielding oneself from the ever-encroaching fog. Each upgrade makes the base a strategic point for the player's progress. The visual design complements the game's dark atmosphere, with landscapes shrouded in fog and constructions that stand out against the gloomy backdrop. The game's aesthetic creates a constant sense of urgency, where each new fortification added to the base is another layer of protection. The world around you seems to be lurking, ready to attack, and your base becomes a symbol of resistance amid the chaos. In 19th place, we have Valheim, one of the most popular survival games in recent times, set in a vast world inspired by Norse mythology. Building a base goes far beyond providing shelter. It's a central part of progression, allowing the player to develop defenses against mythological creatures and organize resources efficiently. The building system is intuitive but offers a great deal of creative freedom, allowing for anything from simple cabins to elaborate castles. The gameplay combines exploration, combat, and construction, where the player constantly needs to expand their base to house new equipment and supplies. Building is essential not only for survival, but also for facing the challenges of each biome in the game, which vary greatly in difficulty. The player can create forges, kitchens, and other spaces that make the base a hub for crafting essential items. The standout feature here is the freedom the game offers for exploration and how the world reacts to your actions. Interaction with the environment, whether cutting down trees or fighting enemies in dense forests, makes every action have tangible consequences. The game's pacing, where the player decides when and how to evolve their base, reinforces the feeling of control and achievement in a vast, secret-filled universe waiting to be discovered. Continuing, we have Astroneer, a space survival game where base building is essential for exploring different planets and surviving the challenges of outer space. The player takes on the role of an interplanetary explorer, venturing into alien environments in search of resources while building bases that serve both as shelter and as factories for advanced items. Each planet presents unique challenges, requiring the player to create structures capable of withstanding extreme space conditions. The gameplay focuses on resource gathering and base expansion. The player can build and customize their installations, including research modules, material refineries, and energy systems. The building is highly modular, allowing each base to be adapted to the specific needs of each planet. Space exploration with player-built vehicles adds another layer of complexity, as the bases serve as logistical hubs for further expansion across the cosmos. What really stands out is the sense of freedom and creativity. Base building doesn't follow a rigid format, allowing the player to create everything from small support stations to large interplanetary colonies. The sense of progress comes from expanding operations and the ability to transform inhospitable environments into habitable centers. This makes every new base built a vital part of exploration and success in discovering new worlds. And now tell me, how many of these games have you played? Is there any that you hadn't heard of but are now interested in trying? If there's a game you think should have made this list, feel free to share it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you won't miss any new content and stay up to date with everything going on in the gaming world. I'm leaving a card with another list of must-play games, those that stick with you for weeks after you finish. Just click to watch. Take care, and see you tomorrow.